Nothing you can do about it.
Today's an exciting day. My name is Multiplier, and in this video we're looking at Festival Future House vocal anthems. More specifically, using Ableton Live 10 to take what's in the pack and push it to the next level, making it more unique, so almost taking the raw ingredients and sort of turning it into a new thing. Two examples. First, a vocal, creating a double tracked layer pitched down and changing from a female to a male voice. And the second example, using this massive, taking the MIDI and preset from the pack, but customizing it, taking it to that next level. But first of all, before all this, the structure of the pack. As you can see, there are these 7 kits, each kit with all the parts, but also the MIDI and presets. Fantastic, but now let's do something interesting with the vocal. Now we're using Ableton Live 10 here. I will grab a vocal from one of the kits, drag it into arrangement view.
Oh, yeah, I can't get enough of you.
Great stuff, but wouldn't it be cool if I could pitch it down and turn it into a male voice, creating a second vocalist, a second singer, almost. Now to do this in Ableton, I use warping. Warping is the Ableton way to time stretch and pitch shift audio. Call that original, duplicate, temporarily turn off the original, and focus on this new layer. Click the clip and go to warping, so down here, warp, and the magic is this warp mode down here. Now there are a range of warp modes, but for this you want Complex Pro. The idea behind the complex algorithms is it time stretches and pitch shifts without changing the sound of the audio, so it's transparent, whereas say the texture, for example, gives a grainy quality normally when making it longer. But the important thing is this mode down here determines how Ableton stretches or pitch shifts the audio. Notice though, I'm not going to stretch the audio, but just pitch shift it, which I can do with this transpose. Say 7 semitones, a perfect fifth, the second most natural musical interval after an octave. And so now, it doesn't sound good, but that's because we're not finished yet. To make this work, we need to change this formant down here, set to 0.
Oh, yeah, I can't get enough of you. Always in my mind. How did you find?
Fantastic, and now it sounds like a male vocal. Formant is just the technical name for the character of the sound. The character, the personality, the identity of a human voice in this case. So it's the Complex Pro algorithm with formants set to 0. Pitch down this 7 semitones, as you can see. Now I could bring this to life using an Ableton Live 10 effect, one of my favorites over here called Echo. In fact, there's one in particular. Oh, there you go. Fake Dub Room. This echo effect, brand new to Ableton Live 10. I highly recommend it. It's echo with a whole bunch of, it does so much. It's even quite hard to explain, but it's kind of like delay meets reverb meets modulation and everything you want in a delay pretty much. And the presets are fantastic. I mean, take a listen to this.
Oh, yeah, I can't get enough of you. Always in my mind. How did you find?
Turning this dry vocal into something more complete sounding. Remember, dry is the technical music production term for unprocessed. So dry.
Oh, yeah.
And wet.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of you.
Fantastic. And now here's the next level. I could mix this in with the original. Shortcut for activating and deactivating clips. This 0 guy, useful to know. Maybe bring down the levels just to make sure we definitely have enough headroom here. If in doubt, give yourself more headroom rather than less.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of you. Always in my mind. How did you find the keys to my heart?
How cool is that? It's almost like we've created an additional singer, an additional vocalist to play with the original one. I really like it.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of you.
And you could, of course, customize this if need be. So, for example, this curve down here is a filter for the delay. So notice as I adjust this high pass and low pass node, notice how this changes the delayed version. Remember, the delay is on the pitched down now male vocal, not the original, just the pitched down version. See if you can hear it.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of you. Always in my mind. How did you find the keys to my heart? The keys to my love.
It's as easy as that to sculpt the sound.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of you.
Placing it in the, well, not at the back of the mix per se, but kind of drawing less attention to it. Fantastic, and we can build this into a track using additional sounds from the pack. Noting these fades on the riser. This reverb from the vocal. Coming in gradually over time with automation on the gain, the volume. And finally, the sidechain compression, which you can see up there is being automated, increasing the ratio over time. In other words, doing more and more sidechain compression as the idea evolves. That rhythmic pumping, that rhythmic change in volume over time, which you can see in this gain reduction meter down here, this GR meter, showing you how the compressor is changing the volume in real time. Fantastic. Now let's customize that synth preset. I'm going to use a synth called Massive, but it's worth noting all of this applies to the other synths too, Serum and Spire. The interfaces are different, but they work in the same sort of way. Drag out Massive, load up the preset from the pack. There it is from kit 6. And find the corresponding MIDI. Command L, useful little shortcut to know, looping the zone you've selected. The most important thing I'll do is change the filter modulation, but before I do that, let's add a reverb. Say the normal reverb. reverb, puts it in a space, fills it out, and by reducing the size, you can see it gives it body dimension, but without that big reverb tail. I can find the big reverb tail can almost muddy up the mix, giving this sea of reverb in the background, which you don't normally want. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Note this tiny little 2 on the low pass filter. That means that envelope 2 here is modulating, just a fancy word for changing filter cutoff. And so every time a note is triggered, this low pass filter opens and then closes again, according to this envelope shape. That's the main way, or the main reason why this sound is plucky. Now, check this out. If I increase this attack, see how it makes the first bit of the envelope longer? This will mean the filter opens slower every time a note is triggered. See if you can hear this. In fact, notice when I set the attack too high. When the attack is too high, it's only the longest notes that pretty much make a sound, because this is the amount of time it takes for the filter to open. And so if this time is too long, short notes simply don't allow enough time for the filter to open. And so I like it somewhere around here. So it's a slower attack. So it's less plucky, there's more stuff happening at the beginning of the sound, but it's still short enough for even the shortest notes to open fully. Remember, this is opening the low pass filter. And looking at this blue ring, I can increase by clicking and dragging. I can increase how much this envelope is opening the filter, a low pass filter. And so now that I've set the modulation amount to maximum, I can control how much it opens the filter using these levels here. So this is almost like how much the filter opens, and then this second one, the sustain level, is the level it gets sustained at. Kind of like how open the filter is for the body of the sound. I'll play with these, see if you can correlate what's happening here. Remember, this is opening a low pass filter opening and closing. See if you can correlate this. Perfect, it's coming together. A few more things though. First of all, choosing a more interesting filter. This Scream filter, unique to Massive. This is still a low pass filter, but a low pass filter with a crazy resonant peak. And so by increasing the resonance there, in fact, I'll show you again a before and after. Thickens it up and gives it more character from this Scream filter. Further noting, I could further change the sound of this sound with this wavetable position, basically changing the oscillator, changing one of the initial waveforms. Remember, the oscillator is the initial waveform that then gets turned into the sound. See how it's different? It's subtle, but definitely different. And finally, automating the sustain. The sustain on this low pass filter envelope. Basically having it open up more over time. I think I'll start around there and then open it up. Now in Ableton, to do this, to automate this, click that button, then configure, click the parameter, you can see it down there. Then hit A to hop into automation mode, click the parameter to make sure it's up there in the automation lane, click plus to give it that permanent automation lane, and then simply draw in some automation. Noting in Ableton Live 10, the nodes now snap to the grid. Oh, in fact, I'm going to make that shorter just so it all happens a lot quicker. Maybe just increase that a touch, just a tiny amount. And then just for fun, why not also automate reverb size? And so configure, click size, then click the parameter so it appears in the automation lane, then click the plus, giving it a permanent lane, and draw in some automation. Oh, one more thing just for fun, while we're here, I'm also going to automate this level, just a small amount, again, so the filter opens up more over time. And again, nice and subtle. Taking something from the pack and turning it into something new. And again, building it into a track, using sounds from the pack. This time, a bit more going on. You can see up there the massive clip we made. The track's frozen, but you can see the automation. Also how I stripped back the MIDI for the first 8 bars. Not to mention, again, sidechain compression automation. And lots of frequency sweeps. Here, 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 and here. Let's watch these sweeps on the main group. Festival, Future House, Vocal Anthems with Beatport sounds up in multiplier. Thanks for watching.